If it's the corkscrew, it can only be WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. A perfect late morning, just before noon. Is it going to be the showdown of high noon for the first race of two for the Porsche Carrera Cup North America, presented by visitcaymanislands.com. Hello everybody, I'm John Hindhaugh and Jeremy Shaw is alongside me in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. We're live and free on the left-hand coast from Salinas in California, or near to it. The old dry lake bed is the Andretti hairpin through to turn 5. That's going to be an action area. And from turn 5, you are climbing up through the sweeper at turn 6 and up the Rahal Straight to turn 8 and 8A. Now, it's the corkscrew, of course it is. Then it's the plunge back down to the bottom of the hill, through the tricky turns 9 and 10, and then the very sharp turn 11 that leads onto that curving front stretch. We've got a great field of cars, and Jeremy Shaw, for once, Kai van Berlo, the young Dutchman who was second in the championship last year, now residing in Miami where he's studying as well. For once, he's not on pole position. He's not going to have the perfect weekend here, even though he probably still will leave leading the championship.
Yeah, that's right. He's got a pretty handy lead coming into this weekend. 40 points over Parker Thompson in second position. It has been pretty much the perfect start to the year for Kai van Berlo. On pole for all 4 races. He has won 4 of them, and 3 fastest race laps as well. So that's been just 1 point shy of the maximum available so far. It's been a brilliant start, but he's struggling this weekend. And for the, as you were talking about just a few moments ago, tomorrow's race will see the second fastest race lap from each driver in qualifying. And assuming nobody goes faster in the race this afternoon, then that will leave him once again 4th on the grid for tomorrow's race. And instead, it'll be his teammate Riley Dickinson with his first pole for tomorrow as well. So a great job by the 2 youngsters then, Trenton Estep and for Riley Dickinson to be quickest in the qualifying session.
And Trenton Estep's time in the Porsche Cup car would have been quick enough to be inside the top 10 of GTD for the full house GT3 cars in the last session that we just had for WeatherTech. These are seriously quick racing cars, Jeremy.
Well, they certainly are. I mean, the existing lap record for the old GT3 Porsche Carrera Cup, not the Carrera Cup, the GT3 Cup series, which is running for the older 991 cars. The lap record there was a 127.2 in qualifying. That was set by Max Root back in 2019. We're now down at 24.9, so that's 2.3 seconds faster in this new car. Pretty remarkable.
We have 40 minutes on the clock, and that means we have a time certain race. The classes, well, we have the Pro class, the Pro-Am category. Pro class new last year, of course, to the Carrera Cup North America, because Carrera Cup was brand new. And then we have the AM category. What we should say here, Jeremy, is unlike in previous years, particularly the last time these cars probably were in California, the cars are all identical. They're all the same model, they're all the same iteration, they're all the same evolution. It's the drivers that ascertain, and the experience of the drivers that affect which category they are racing in.
Yeah, that's exactly right. With the pros, the Pro-Ams and the Ams, and it's a really stout field here as well. And hats off to Efren Castro, just outside the top 10 overall in the best of the Pro-Am entries. And he's had a bit of an up and down season so far. Had a couple of incidents, but also had a win as well, and a pole position in the class at Sebring. And he's looking to really get his championship challenge into full swing here. He's currently, though, 4th position in the points there for Castro in Pro-Am coming into this weekend. Alan Metney, who he beat last year to the championship. Metney now has a pretty useful 15-point advantage over Justin Oakes, who's been a revelation this year in just his 2nd season of racing in that NOLA Sport entry. Who's in caliber 47, who's again qualified pretty strongly here in the 4th position in the class.
Efren Castro in the purple and black, number 65. Kelly Moscar had a strange exit from Long Beach. He put the car in the flower bed at the fountain. And then, of course, we had one of the Indy cars, also the same colour scheme, actually. I don't know whether they were trying to match the floral displays, but Efren did it first. No flower beds here. The groundsman's very particular about that. Into the pit lane for the Porsche safety car. Let's hope we don't have to see that again, because beautiful as it is, we'd much rather see green flag racing for the next 40 minutes. Porsche Carrera Cup North America, WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, Race 1, 2022. Trent Nestep puts his right foot to the firewall and goes through the green flag ahead of Riley Dickinson, Parker Thompson, Kai van Berlo, Lee Keen, Dimi DeMarcos coming down the outside as well. But it's a good start from everybody round the outside. Parker Thompson in that shell-coloured car, the white, red and yellow, up into second, in behind Estep, down into third for... up into third for Kai van Berlo, I think there. Was that Riley Dickinson? But someone's gone off at the exit of turn number 2 and comes back on again. Is that... It is, you know, it's Efren Castro, isn't it?
Yes.
It is Efren Castro, that distinctive colour scheme. He's got damage to the right rear of that car. The indicators are flashing. His driver's door mirror has been popped up as well. He was in the middle of the pack, stayed to the inside. Everything all right at this point. Then there's a bit of a check-up in front of him. Then he just cut across one of the other cars and got turned. So don't think he hit the wall, Jeremy, but he has got a bit of damage on the right rear.
Yeah, I think he might have got into the tyres there. The problem was there were 2 cars outside of him. He probably knew there was one, but he didn't know there was a 3rd car out there as well, which was well onto the dirt at that stage. So just a really unfortunate incident there for Efren Castro. But what a great start that was by Parker Thompson around the outside at the first corner and takes over 2nd position behind Trenton Estep,
and now he leads.
Who did lead this race.
Yeah, he now leads. Wow. Thompson leads in the number 9 car. So up from second row of the grid and had a good one. Now it's 2 by 2 as they go down for the second time of asking into the Andretti hairpin. Estep takes the lead. Thompson goes around the outside again. And behind them, Lee Keen and Riley Dickinson. And Kai van Berlo was the car that was off the side of the road as well. He's dropped down. Championship leader down to 8th position as into the pit lane comes the number 13. That's Vanchowski's car, the Wright Motorsport machine. And that car in the pro category already in trouble. Varun from Atlanta. Looked like that car may have had a little bit of damage as well. But at the front of the field, Thompson's back in the lead again, Jeremy. This is quality stuff from these young drivers.
Yeah, what an exciting first lap that was. And Parker Thompson, once again, has grasped the lead here. And look, the real key to this race, yes, it's all very well battling hard in the early stages, but we're going to hear it all weekend long here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Tyre degradation. This is a very low grip racetrack. The cars slide a lot more than is optimal. When they slide, they burn up their tyres. So they've got to, this is a 40-minute race here. They've got to be careful during this race not to overwork their tyres too soon in the race. I've talked to several drivers since practice and qualifying yesterday. That is going to be the key, is keeping the tyres under you consistent for the entirety of the race distance.
JDX racing car moving slowly as well, and that was Robert Hanley from the JDX team, and that car's dropped way down to 32nd position. Castro in the pits, by the way, the Pro-Am pole sitter in the pits and getting some remedial work to the right rear. The bumper they can pull off, it's just a cover, but they're worried about the suspension on the right rear, and in fact he had a puncture there. The Michelin tyre pulled right off the Centerlock Racing rim of that Porsche, so he's now dropped down to 12th in Pro-Am, and it will be a long way back to get any meaningful points. And the defence of his championship, Jeremy, is not going well at all this year.
True.
He's had no luck at all. Did he break a mirror this year by throwing a cat at it? I don't know what's happened to Efren, but he has not had the best of starts to
Yeah, it's just
this
been a bit unlucky.
Yeah.
Been a bit unlucky, kind of wrong place at the wrong time. That was the case at Long Beach. I think really the case here as well. He didn't really do anything wrong coming out of the Mario Andretti hairpin. The only problem was for him there were not one car outside him but two, and the outside one on the right hand most, they're heading towards turn 3. He was one on the grass. He's trying to get back. Well, there isn't any grass on it. It's all dirt. Trying to get back onto the tarmac, and so he's quite rightly trying to get himself back on the racetrack. He goes into the car next to him, who then goes into Castro, who was unfortunately tipped into a spin.
Yeah, exactly. So there's another spin, and this time it's Dimitri DeMarcos in the black number 11, 311 RS car. Now, I think he's got his left rear Michelin still on the harder part of the dirt on the outside. That's dry on the outside, yeah, driver's left heading into turn 3. He was in a battle there with the number 7, the third of the Kelly Moss children's cars, yeah, and he got turned around there. Oh, that's not smart.
That's a bit naughty.
That no hint of a lift there by McCarthy in that number 7 after the first contact will be made. And Michael, I think the man from Clearwater in Florida, I think that might be getting looked at. The incident, by the way, with Castro, turn 2, lap 1, is under review in race control. DeMarcos pointing in the right direction, but not the start of the race that young man wanted after a cracking opening to the season. He's been there or thereabouts, Jeremy, with far less experience at this level of racing than pretty much anyone at the top half of the field.
Exactly right. I mean, he was just, he described himself as a gentleman racer. He's only 23 years of age, but it was just sort of a bit of fun for him last season. Well, he was so impressive. He got picked up by this very ambitious 311 RS Motorsport team. They said, look, we can put a deal together for you to come race with us. So he said, okay. And here he is. But this is a super steep learning curve for Dimitri because, he, as you say, he'd done a fair bit of club racing, but that's a very different kettle of fish to what we're experiencing here in the Porsche Carrera Cup North America. As we see a battle there side by side is Hutton McKenna with the Pro-Am leading car Justin Oakes, who's got past Alan Metni, who's actually fallen back a couple of positions. So Justin Oakes once again doing an excellent job here. Just his second season of racing for Justin. He won the Trans Am Super GT Series last year. He was third in the SECA runoffs. But that's the extent of his racing experience. We're doing an excellent job here. 9th position overall in that brightly liveried car number 47.
Yeah, just a little bit of information coming through. Mark Kawame from MDK, who's the AM leader in 19th position, was involved with the Hanley JDX car, and that is under review as well. I can't give you any more information than that, as is, you will not be surprised to know, the incident that saw Dimitri DeMarcos spun around as well. So busy time for race control with 3 separate incidents all under review, and one of them including the AM leader Mark Kawame at the moment, who sits in 19th position. Also, we should mention Kai van Berlo is moving up. He is up to 7th position last time around after a start that dropped him way back down through the pack. He was actually off the road in that melee at the first couple or 3 corners, and that cost him some time. He's right behind the McCarthy car now, the number 7, and that's team cars in the similar colour. You'll notice that those Kelly Moss cars have slightly different colours on the undertray at the front and the valance at the back. Michael Carr has got a purple colour. It's all green for Kai van Berlo. Riley Dickinson has the yellow flashes on his car. He's up in 3rd position, and van Berlo now trying as best he can, Jeremy, to get past his teammate and try and put some pressure on TJ Fisher. That's 5th, 6th and 7th going to the line now.
Yeah, indeed, but he's got to be careful here. He doesn't, you battle with your teammate a little bit differently than you would everybody else. For Michael McCarthy, he's still finding his feet at this level. This is his first season of racing at this level. He's trying to get the cut back there on TJ Fisher. It's a good start by TJ because he started back in 9th position, found himself in 5th at the end of that first lap after 2 excellent podium finishes for the Northern Californians from Vacaville, north of San Francisco, up in the Napa Valley area. And he's running a good race here in 5th position. He's quite a long way behind already the 4 leaders, but doing what he needs to do to score more good championship points. Meanwhile, at the front, the battle continues. Trenton Estep actually set the fastest race lap last time around.
In second place as he tries to close down Parker Thompson. It's half a second at the head of the field. For a moment in this battle for 5th, 6th and 7th, it looked like Kai van Berlo just dropped back a little bit, maybe trying to get a run. He is the championship leader. The third of those cars is the championship leading cars. They're plunged down towards the last couple of corners on this extremely demanding and technical lap. We're down under half an hour to go. 10 minutes have elapsed, and Parker Thompson leads for JDX from MDK Motorsports, Trenton Estep. They are now just 4/10 apart. Then it's 3.5 seconds back to the first of the Kelly Moss cars. That's Riley Dickinson in the 53, the white with green. Lee Keane in the plain red 311 RS car is right with him there. It was half a second across the line. It looked closer as they were in the Andretti hairpin, and side by side teammates there going through. It was Mike McCarthy going through on TJ Fisher, and Kai van Berlo has followed him through. They're hunting in packs. Michael McCarthy then through into 5th place, up into 6th, the championship leader, and that all happened, Jeremy, at the hairpin. Nice bit of over and under, plenty of grip on the inside for Michael McCarthy.
Yeah, did a good job there. I don't think there was any contact between the two, and as he tracked out, TJ Fisher had to back off there in order not to be pushed off the racetrack. That was the only kind of mistake, if anything, that McCarthy did there. I'm not sure he needed to push Fisher off the racetrack there. That might be having looked at by the steward. And as he had to lift, that enabled Kai van Berlo to go on through and take up that position. So Van Berlo doing exactly what he needed to do, keeping his nose clean, taking any opportunities that present themselves, and a good one presented itself there, and he took advantage of it.
All of those incidents that were under review, from the early one with Efren Castro, the McCarthy incident with the number 11 car, Dimitri Marcos, and indeed the final one, which was the 43 and the 4, that was the Hanley and Mark Kawame. That one reviewed inconclusive, the other ones reviewed no further action. So that has all been cleared by race control. So the question marks, or the swords of Damocles, has been lifted. Teammate on teammate, Kelly Moss on Kelly Moss, Van Berlo on McCarthy, and Van Berlo up to 5th position, and now has to set about trying to close down the 6 seconds to Lee Keane. Let's see what the young Dutchman is made of here, Jeremy. He's got a big gap in front of him. This might be the opportunity for him to get a better lap in to improve his starting grid position for race 2.
Yeah, the fastest lap of the race so far, 125.8. The pole time this morning was a 124.9, so I don't think you're going to find a full second compared to this morning. I'd be surprised if anybody goes quicker in this race than they did this morning. But meanwhile, Parker Thompson leads. Trenton Estep there has not given up. Trenton Estep does actually have the fastest lap of this race. It's a 25.7, in fact, for Estep. That was on lap 5. But once again, just 3 or 4 tenths of a second between these two leaders. That was a very forceful move, wasn't it, last time by Kai van Berlo and his teammate, as we see Parker Thompson slipping a little bit wide there in turn 2, but Estep not close enough to take advantage. But Van Berlo on McCarthy, that move in turn 2, it was just a late dive to the inside, good clean incisive pass by Kai van Berlo, the championship leader.
Now, Jeremy, you did mention Michael McCarthy's move on TJ Fisher, a warning to the 7-car driver for overly aggressive driving, and you said it just pushed him a little bit far out that made TJ have to lift. That was noted by race control, but they're allowing those guys to race at the moment. At the front of the field then, with still 26 minutes to go here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, JDX's Porsche Thompson leads from Trenton Estep in the MDK Motorsport, both in identical Porsches on Michelin tyres, as they come to complete another lap, the 10th, but it is a time-certain race, so it will be the clock that we have to keep our eye on. Dickinson unable at the moment to close these two down. He's fallen to nearly 5 seconds away for this battle for the lead, so he's not anywhere near close enough to pick up any of the pieces if these two trip over each other and slip wide. Of course, if they end up in the gravel, that would be something entirely different. But Thompson, the Canadian, leading out then from Estep in Pro-Am in a very commendable 9th position overall. The Nola Sport 47, in fact, just got up into 8th position. And Jeremy was talking about Justin Oakes, the man from Houston, Texas, earlier on. He was actually the car that came together with Efren Castro in Long Beach, that flicked Castro onto the flower bed into the planter area around the very famous fountain area, taking advantage of Castro's problems as well today, and leading this race, 8th position, and he's got 3 cars between himself and the number 99 iFly Kelly Moss racing car of Alan Metney. This is a good drive by Justin.
It certainly is. That DroneWorks car, he's an advertising executive, basically. Does a lot of shooting with drones, does Justin Oakes. A very accomplished guy, and a very accomplished racing driver as well. It's a fine drive he has made so far, up into 8th position there, having got past Hutton McKenna on the last lap around. So it's a really fine drive by him. A little bit further back in the pack, it's still Mark Kwame who leads in the AM category. He's got a pretty handy lead now over John Getz, actually over 5 seconds, with Tom Collingwood in between them as well. So Mark Kwame, it was a great morning for MDK Motorsports. MDK Mark Kwame, a new team set up this season. He's got Will Bamber as the team manager there, set up in Michael Shank's old shop just outside of Columbus, Ohio. And that is where Mark is from. And it's been a really impressive operation this season. The cars look great, and clearly they are very fast.
Pass 4 position as the green and black ACI Motorsports number 81 goes through to take a position, and that's Grant Tolgate who has gone through and putting big mistake for the car that he's just passed. That's Travis Wiley in the Top Racing Apex Capital Corporation car. Lost a position and almost threw it away on the exit of turn 3, but he's gathered it all up after losing that position, maybe just rattled by being passed, maybe just trying a little bit too hard, but dips the left-hand side Michelins into the dirt. I won't say he was looking to get away with that. Plenty of people do that. The worry is when you come back on, if you're still straddling the curb, that you could possibly damage the inside shoulder or the sidewall of the Michelin racing tyre. They can get quite sharp, those edges of the curbs on the far side. Decent battle beginning to heat up again at the front of the field, with the leader JDX Racing's Parker Thompson still barely half a second, and they're going to have some traffic ahead of them. Just half a second the gap between first and second at the moment, but these two, Jeremy, at the moment don't seem to be slowing each other down, and Riley Dickinson does not have anything at all for the pace of the cars ahead of him. He's got nearly a second on Lee Keen, and Kai van Berlo hasn't really closed down on Lee Keen either in the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th.
He absolutely hasn't, has he? The two leaders, Thompson and Estep, they're the only two cars running in the 26s, 1 minute 26 range, separated by milliseconds, it seems, between the two of them, each of the laps so far. So, it was that decisive move at the start. Well, 2 decisive moves on the first lap for Parker Thompson, because he got the lead, he lost it, and he took it back again. But tremendous racing here in the early stages between these two, and they are both really, really fast and very, very closely matched as well. And as you say, pulling away to the extent of half a second on the last lap over Riley Dickinson in 3rd position.
coming down to 20 minutes, half distance in about a minute's time. So when the leader, Parker Thompson, comes back around, he will be into the second half of the race. Bill Smith in the bright orange number 42 car, battling with John Getz for Wright Motors. That's second and third for the AM category, just outside the overall top 20. Getz just a car or so ahead of Bill Smith, yeah, and Bill still pushing hard. Behind them is the ACI Motorsports number 18 car, and that is Richard Edge, the Atlanta resident.
That's right, and also right with the back, catching you back up now is Dimitri DeMarcos in that black car, car number 11. The guy had the spin on the opening lap, trying to work his way back up through the field. Still outside the top 20, but still doing the best he can.
Yeah, he has, he's now up to 11, 12, 13th in class after the problem for Varun Choksi. So we'll get an extra position there, but his next class competitor for that black number 11 car is all the way up in 17th position, and that's the Premier Racing number 24 of Adam Adelson. That's going to be a big ask, I think, for Dimitri and the 311 Motorsport car. It's the black car with the red cross on it as he pops out down the inside and makes up a position overall, and that was on the Pro-Am number 69, being Thomas Collingwood in the BGB Motorsports car. Tom gave him the inside there, realising he was one of the pro drivers. Smart move. Now he's got a little bit of a battle with Bill Smith. They are not in the same class. Different coloured wing end plates and driver's door, door mirrors actually, both the driver's door mirrors and the passenger door mirrors. You'll notice the 42 has yellow headlight spots as well. That puts Bill in the AM class, as Tom Collingwood has blue. That puts him in Pro-Am. Marco Cironi having a decent battle as well further up the field. Kurt Swearingen and Alan Metney right in the fight there as well.
That's for second position in Pro-Am, John. You're absolutely right. In the 12th, 13th, 14th positions. It's a good three-car battle going on between those guys at the moment.
I think Cironi's got through there actually. In the 84 car he has. That's Metney now behind him in the iFly 99. Both of those cars mainly silver, but the stripes on Cironi's car just giving us a bit of a clue. Both of those, the supplied GT silver, that is the standard colour that Carrera Cup cars are supplied in. And then behind you can't miss Kurt Swearingen for ACI in the bright green base colour on that car. So that's Alan Metney not having things his own way, down to third now in Pro-Am with the Nola Sport car, the number 47, well up and still in the top 10 for Justin Oakes.
Yeah, really fine drive by Justin Oakes. He's pulling away from this battle for second place, with Cironi now up into that position ahead. As you say, he got past both Kurt Swearingen and Alan Metney in the last couple of laps with Cironi, so he's doing a fine job there to get back himself back up into the thick of the battle here.
Just a note about the lead, Trenton Estep is dropped back by about a second now. The gap, which was 4 or 5 tenths, is now a second and a half. As Hutton McKenna goes a little bit wide in the McKenna Racing Porsche. It's the white with yellow bumpers car, the red writing on the side. That's a classic livery. Great to have that back in the IMSA paddock. The number 88 car at the moment sitting in 8th position in Pro and overall, and just being caught by Grant Tolke actually, who's going by the Nola Sport car. Now, be sensible here, Justin. You do not need to be racing that car. He's not in your class. Yes, you're going to drop down a position into 10th if you let him go by, but you're still leading comfortably. Grant down the inside. Very nicely done. Very respectful driving there. That was for an overall position, Jeremy, but not for a class position. And I think the Nola Sport driver, Justin Oakes there, did fight enough, but not too much. That was quite sensible. He knows he's got Pro-Am points to think about here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, pick your battles, isn't that right? And that's not the battle they have here. Grant Torquay has now, he's been making good progress during this race. I think he was one of the guys who got shuffled out in that first incident at Mario Andretti hairpin. He got lost quite a few positions. He's gradually working his way back up towards the front.
Kai van Berlo has closed in a wee bit on Lee Keane in 4th position. Van Berlo, championship leader, in 5th, but only by about a second. Keane is about just over a second behind Riley Dickinson, who's in 3rd. He's now 7 seconds behind Estep, who's 1.2 seconds behind Parker Thompson. So those gaps at the front of the field are not really coming down quick enough. We've got just under 15 minutes to go in the first of 2 races this weekend for Porsche Carrera Cup North America, presented by Visit Cayman Islands. We're at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in the 2022 championship. Riley Dickinson for Kelly Moss with the orange-red colouring on there. There's Lee Keane, actually. Well, he's got him in sight. He hasn't quite got target acquired as into the pit lane. Now, this is interesting. This is the McCann racing car coming in. There's not usually any pit stops there, so Michael McCann is in. It's not a drive-through. I can't see anything on the race control channel. So they're plugging in the laptop. I don't think they're loading up his favourite music playlist. So something not quite right then with the McCann Racing silver, red and black number 8, Jeremy.
No, that's right. He's running quite a bit lower than he would have normally expected to run. Down in the 15th position he was before he brought that car into the pits. Meanwhile, up front, just watching the lap times of the leader. They were doing high 1 minute 25s, and that dropped down to mid 26s, and now 27s for the race leader. 127.2 last time around. Trenton Estep had fallen about a second and a half behind the race leader Parker Thompson, but he was a bit quicker on that last lap. He was 0.3 of a second quicker indeed in the second place car, and Trenton Estep now is the only car on that last lap in the 1 minute 26s. Everybody else 127 or more.
I wonder if he was just letting his Michelin tyres have a bit of a rest as the leader's picking his way through traffic right now. That has given an opportunity for Estep to close right up. That's another thing as well. The track temperature, 97 degrees Fahrenheit. That is 36 Celsius. So that's working those Michelin tyres pretty hard as Estep closed in for a moment or two onto the back of Parker Thompson as he was passing traffic. By the way, the Michael McCann Racing 8 car coming into the pits. That's another position in pro for Timmy DeMarcos, now up to 12th position in class. Moment or two ago, very wide moment for Tom Collingwood in the BGB Motorsport coming out the final corner. That's dropped him behind the ACI number 18. That's Richard Edge behind the wheel of that car, of course. That was a position lost for Thomas. Kyle Washington in the blue and yellow GMG Racing number 32 is not too far away either. Under 12 minutes to go now.
And that is number 77 car of Travis Wiley trying to make a move on Justin Oakes. This is for the 10th position overall. But Justin Oakes leads the Pro-Am category by only, actually not by very much now, over Marco Tironi, who's definitely closing in the number 84, the Mark Motors machine in colour ready for is definitely closing on both
Oh.
Justin Oakes and the pro car Travis Wiley. Battle for the lead.
Battle for the lead because the back tyres of the number 9 car are being tortured by Parker Thompson. Big slide coming down the hill from the corkscrew, and he's very defensive going into the final corner. If you've used up your tyres, that's going to hurt you on the exit, but it'll hurt you everywhere because you can't brake as late either. And this is a real battle for the lead with still 11 minutes to go. Estep, remember those couple of slow laps where he dropped back to a second and a half, 1.7 seconds behind the leader, but he's been able to close up with a little bit of traffic assistance as well. But now he's right there and almost gives a little love tap to the back of Parker Thompson going through turn number 3. It's not helping Riley Dickinson. He's not closing in on these two, even though Parker Thompson is driving defensively. These two, this is the battle for the lead. 2 steps on the podium up for grabs here. Which way will it be? Who gets the top step on the box? 10 minutes to find out.
Fascinating race between these two, and there's no question at the moment Trenton Esep has the faster car, but Parker Thompson using all of experience there. He's got a lot of experience here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in the open wheel ranks. He had a lot of success in the Road to Indy for several years in both the USF 2000 and the Indy Pro 2000 category, so he knows his way around this racetrack, and he knows to try and keep all the doors closed on Trenton Esep. He sort of parks the car at the apex of the corner, just trying to get a good run off the corner and maintain the advantage down the next straightaway. But this is a fabulous, interestingly, cat and mouse battle between these two at the front of the field.
You might think, of course, well, Estep has cruised up behind the leader. Why can't he just drive by? Well, he probably curled off his Michelin tyres, as we mentioned. And then he gets there, maybe with a little bit of performance advantage, but he's only got a short time to be able to make that count before sitting in the hot air that's coming out of the back of Parker Thompson's Porsche, that 4-litre flat 6, developing just over 500 horsepower, exactly as it does in the street car. And now his front tyres will be getting worked a little bit harder than he would want to, so Trenton hasn't been able to make the move. The question for me now, with 9 minutes to go, is does he drop back again and have another go, or does he try to keep the pressure on? And that's a tough thing. He's working all this out in his head as he's driving a race car right at 100%, and that's how good these guys are, because it's speed. This is a sprint race, but there's still, Jeremy, a bit of tactic to think of here, and they somehow find the mental bandwidth to be able to do all of it.
Yeah, really interesting, isn't it? Fascinating battle between these two at the moment. As you say, still 8 minutes and change remaining, and it looks like Trenton Esep has sort of said, okay, I'm going to back off just a little bit, try and save my tyres and have one last shot perhaps to go for the win. Has Parker Thompson weathered the storm here? We'll see the lap times he comes across. 1:27.1. Wow, that's a lot quicker than his previous lap. A full second faster than the past couple of laps, actually. The 1:28.5, 1:28.0 the last 2 laps. And now he's stepped it up again. Parker Thompson in that Shell top-up car for JDX Racing in the lead of this race.
A bit further down the field, the battle for 8th and 9th. Grant Torquay in the black and green car has hunted down the number 88, Hunt McKenna. They both got by Justin Oakes a few laps ago. Justin still hanging on to the Pro-Am lead in 10th overall. And here comes Torquay. Gets the slipstream, the draft down the front straight, slightly curving to the left. He puts his car on the inside for the Andretti hairpin, but can't make the overtake there. Can he cut it back to the inside and square off the corner? Nice driving by McKenna. Didn't try to force the issue, gave his competitor room on the inside, and comes out with a little more of a gap as they go through turn 3. Nice move from both of them. No position change, but that was good racing and good respect. Meantime, Kai von Berlo is charging a little bit here, Jeremy. Dropped way down to the bottom end of the top 10. He's now within 2.5 seconds or thereabouts of 4th position and Lee Keane, and his lap times have been consistently quicker. Just as I say that, he's made a mistake and he's dropped back just a tiny little bit to 3 seconds further back from Lee Keane, but he had been closing in quite quickly there. Seemingly some performance in the number 3 car.
Yeah, there's also all sorts of great battles. Here's a battle for second position then in Pro-Am, heading up the hill to the corkscrew. Down they go through that turn. It's Travis Wiley in the number 77 car. He's a pro entry for Top Racing. He's in the 11th position at the moment, but right behind him is that multicolored Droneworks car of Justin Oakes. And then, excuse me.
Yeah, and then Chironi behind him.
Yeah, Chironi's right behind him there.
Yeah, so that is the battle. Now, that I reckon that's the battle for the lead. That's for the lead in Pro-Am, as Wiley has gone past the pair of them, and that's taken out the backstop between Oakes and Chironi. Chironi got ahead of Metney a little while ago. Swearingen still there as well, having a battle, but the lead two in Pro-Am are absolutely together, almost side by side. Back to the right-hand side for Marco Chironi in the GT Silver car with the stripes. Under the Michelin bridge and down towards turn number 4. He's pushing. I'm not sure that's a place that he can do it. Needs a clean run here out of 4. Trying to force the man ahead of him into a mistake, and he gets through the outside. Now, is he ahead before the braking area for turn 5? He swings late into turn 5 and gets the cutback to the left-hand side. He'll have the preferred line into turn 6, the inside line. It's a left-hander. He's on the left-hand side. He pushes deep. They're side by side through 6. That's extraordinary. Yeah. And here comes Metney. Metney's got a great run in the second of the GT Silver cars. Chironi will go through into the lead in the braking area for the corkscrew, but Metney Swearingen, and I think that's Torres as well. That's right there. That's the first 5 in Pro-Am absolutely together. And Chironi has taken the lead and already starts to clear off. Brilliant stuff.
Wow, tremendous racing here. Absolutely tremendous. Marco Chironi, a hugely experienced, of course. He's 55 years old these days, from Willowdale, Ontario. He's originally from Italy, but he's made his from Rome, but he's made his home in Canada for many, many years now. Huge amount of experience in Porsches. He's won the Canadian GT3 Cup Masters Champion, I think, in 5 or 6 different times, and he's used all the experience now. And I think Justin Oakes, he's finding that car sliding around a lot. He's losing another position now to Alan Metney. So Metney up into second place in the class, and Kurt Swearingen is right there in that green and black car, as well as is, as you said, Pedro Torres in car number 16 as well. That's 2 ACI teammates together there at the back of that line, the green and black car and the blue, black and white car. And Justin Oakes must be kicking himself. He was fighting some of the pro cars. I thought he was picking his battles there, but maybe he had just worked the Michelin tyres. He seems to be struggling for grip, and he's lost the lead, and he might well lose second place. And if he does, he's going to come under pressure to stay on the podium at the front of the field. Parker Thompson, is this going to be one of those races that we call well judged, Jeremy? It's what we've said many times before in this championship and in its previous iterations. We've said those exact words about Kai van Berlo in the first races of the season. Little bit of a problem going past the number 69 Porsche of Tom Collingwood for the lead. It cost him a bit of momentum going up the hill. Now he's got the Kyle Washington GMG Racing blue and yellow car ahead as they go through the corkscrew. There'll be 2 laps, I think, after this one, depending when they cross the line. Still a bit of a rearguard action being fought by Justin Oakes, who has lost second position to Alan Metney, and now Swearingen and Pedro Torres, the 2 ACI teammates, they are hunting together. Oh, what a shame for Justin here, Jeremy. He's just not got the pace in the last quarter of the race. Yeah, I think he just pushed a little bit too hard too soon, didn't he, in that Nola Sport entry, the Droneworks car, number 47. But it's still been a tremendous performance by him, and he's still looking to finish on the podium here in the Pro-Am class. That would be a pretty sound effort for his first race in the Porsche here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
Minute and 53 seconds to go. The leaders have started there.
2 laps in, yeah.
27th lap. They'll come round in just a moment or 2. In fact, they have crossed the line. There goes Chironi leading for Mark Mortis Racing in 11th position for the Pro-Am leader. He's got 3 seconds on Metney. Then the battle between Oaks, Swearingen and Pedro Torres at the final corner now and heading onto the pit straight. Is that a second wind for Justin? Second wind for Justin Oaks in his tyres at the front of the field. That certainly seems to have been what happened for both Trenton Estep in second and for Parker Thompson, who, in the context of what's going on here, has got a relatively comfortable 1.1 second lead in the overall. Can't say the same for the battle for third. Oaks looked to be on an unconventional line coming out the Andretti hairpin, but I don't think Swearingen was in a position in that green and black car to take advantage. Now gets the draft going up to turn 5. He can throw it down the inside. No, he can't. Now, has he got the grip? He's struggling, I think, with a bit of understeer. Can't quite put the car where he wants to. Gets up the inside towards turn 6. This is another brave manoeuvre. He's going to tough it out, sends it and takes it. That's third place on the podium for Kurt Swearingen, an ACI teammate. Pedro Torres tries to follow him through to the top of the hill. That's a really tough path. And here's Dimitri Demarcos joining in 16th position. Different category, of course, but having to fight back after being unceremoniously spun around early on in the race. Last lap for the leaders. 8/10, call it 9/10 of a second between Thompson and Estep at the front of the field. Traffic beginning to play a part. Here comes Estep. This is not over yet, Jeremy. Half a lap to go. They're at the corkscrew for the final time.
Tremendous racing here between these two, and Estep is putting it all on the line here. I think Parker Thompson's just about judged it well here, but it's that car sliding around as it comes down the hill. He's still got about half a dozen car lengths between himself and the second place car. They're not going to catch that traffic ahead of them, so it's just one corner to go now for the Canadian and that Surgear Shell top-up car of JDX Racing and Parker Thompson.
Gets off the final corner. It is a long run to the VP Racing Fuels checkered flag, but it is Parker Thompson who sees it first for JDX. Round 5 of the 2022 Porsche Carrera Cup North America, presented by Visit Cayman Islands. The first race of 2 this weekend at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca goes the way of the Canadian. Trenton Estep for MDK second. Riley Dickinson holds on to third ahead of Lee Keane, who was under pressure from Kai van Berlo at the end. Those three just separated by a couple of seconds. It'll be Marco Cironi who holds on for Mark Mortis, I think. Yes, it will, as he's coming down the hill now with just 2 corners to go. He's actually with Top Racing's 10th position, number 77, and that is a good run. So Travis Wiley will come through in 10th, and then the Pro-Am leader, Metney, fighting back to second ahead of Swearingen in third in Pro-Am. Pedro Torres did get by Justin Oaks, who looked to have had that absolutely tied up when he was in 7th or 8th position overall, and he's dropped back behind Dimitri Demarcos as well to 15th position and 5th in his class. It'll be Mark Kawame who wins in Am ahead of John Getz for Wright Motors, and then Top Racing's Bill Smith in the bright orange number 42. Those are your 9 podium finishes in the 3 classes. There's Bill Smith just going through now. He was only 2 seconds away from John Getz as well at the end. Some cracking battles there, and none more so at the front of the field, where both Parker Thompson and Trenton Estep had to go slower to go faster, bring their Michelin tyres back in as the heat of the day, with the sun at its zenith here, began to take the toll on their grip that they had from the cars. Important 5th place finish for Kai van Berlo, who came into this weekend with a perfect race winning record in this championship season. But let's not take it away from Parker Thompson. He did everything absolutely right, Jeremy.
He certainly did. A tremendous performance there by Parker Thompson. That will cement his 2nd position in the championship now. And he actually closed up by 13 points over Kai van Berlo with that win today. I think Trenton Estep got the fastest lap of the race, so it'll be another bonus point for Estep. So 123 points for van Berlo, 96 for Parker Thompson, 71 for Estep, who will move ahead of Riley Dickinson, who will start tomorrow's race on the pole position. They are on 3rd and 4th. Trent Estep in 3rd on 71, Dickinson 4th on 65, and then Lee Keane, who finished 4th today on 57.
Yeah, another good run by the 311 RS Motorsport driver Lee Keane, just off the podium. Well, it's been a wee while coming, but what a cracker it has been for Parker Thompson. Took his opportunity early on, had a great scrap with Trent Estep, then had to lift off in the middle of the race. Then you're bumping and barging further down the field. That pushed Dimitri Tomatos down. He recovered to 15th position from well down in the 20s. It's Mark Butcheroni who took Pro-Am, but Parker Thompson wins for JDX Racing here at WeatherTech Laguna Seca.